Les damos la bienvenida a esta conferencia de prensa un día antes del importante partido en la cumbre contra el Bayer Leverkusen mañana. Y como siempre, Thomas Tuchel, nuestro técnico, va a dar su opinión sobre el partido. Empezamos con las primeras preguntas. Señor Tuchel, ¿qué tal el personal? ¿Cómo se encuentra Manuel Neuer? ¿Y qué tal el personal en general? Pues Fonsi lamentablemente no va a poder jugar, ya que en el partido contra el Gladbach lamentablemente se lesionó, y Manu Neuer también. Hoy va a intentar entrenar en el entrenamiento de porteros. Y tenemos todavía tiempo hasta el sábado sobre las 5 de la tarde.
He will be able to play or Ole will deputize. The other players like Joshua Kimmich, for example, and what kind of game do you expect? Can you promise us that it's not going to be a goalless draw? Well, I cannot promise anything, but I don't feel like it's gonna be a 0-0 because I know what we want to achieve and what kind of game we want to play, and I know what Leverkusen is able to achieve in their home games, but I still cannot really say how the score is going to be. So the long-term injured players like Serge, like Daniel Perez, they will be out. The other players like Joshua are back in practice. Minje, Upa. We have one more training session and then everybody's ready for the squad. Mr. Tuchel, how can you challenge a team that hasn't won in such a long time? You could feel that in their cup game against Stuttgart, with their last second goal, which wasn't all lucky. How can you catch them? Well, we'll see. 30 teams have tried it so far and haven't made it. There were a couple of last-minute goals, most of them or all of them from dead ball situations, but their series is and their streak is extraordinary, and that's their quality. Because of their quality, they're really doing a very good job, but we only have 2 points less, and that's why we don't have to hide. It's very early days in the season, but still it feels like it's an extraordinary game, a real occasion to put your cards on the table. It is the moment where we have to put our cards on the table, and we want to approach the game just like that. It doesn't feel like this is the moment to get into a tactical thing. We are trying to travel to Leverkusen to win. You said it looks like an extraordinary occasion, an extraordinary game. With all that expectation and the pressure and the situation on the table and your experience as a coach, is this a game about pressure, but is this also a day to celebrate because you live for moments like this? Yeah, normally I'd watch it on television, but I'm privileged enough to be part of it with Bayern Munich, and that's why we do it. I'm very thankful. And those are the very special moments. We have a really difficult and really challenging week ahead with 3 difficult away games, Leverkusen first and the Champions League. But like I said, it's early days in the season, and we can all read the table. We cannot decide anything with a victory. A draw will keep it like this. With a victory for Leverkusen, they will put a gap in between themselves and us. This would be a new situation, but still, even though it's early days and even though nothing will be decided, it still feels like it is a special moment, and a moment that we have to put our cards on the table, and where it isn't really about a tactical thing. It's going to be like from the first minute till the last second to really give all you got and challenge the opponent. And our approach is clear. We want to make the next step. Leverkusen are playing a really great season, but I think that they are playing closer to their personal limit than we are doing, so we got more room for improvement. And this is the moment to take the next step, because otherwise it's not possible to beat Leverkusen, but we feel ready for it, and that's how we want to approach the game. The duel Jamal Musiala against Florian Wirtz is in the headlines. How would you compare them? Well, they have similar positions, a bit of different types of players. They can dribble very well. They are very young. They are very decisive players for their teams, so I can understand that they are being compared. And obviously, it's on Jamal to use it and to dominate the game in a way. And I want Jamal to play like he's going to be man of the match at the end and not Florian Wirtz. Leverkusen beat Stuttgart in the cup game. So how strong is your team against a storm like that? Well, I can only repeat what I said. This is the moment where you can prove yourself and where we have to make the next step. We have almost as many points as Leverkusen, who, like you said, are playing a very outstanding season and have lots of points. I think they're right next to their limits, and that's why they are unbeaten for 30 games. But we are right behind them, 2 points behind them. We had many injuries in the first round of fixtures, but we have never given up. We kept going, and this is the week that feels different than the other weeks in the past, because we know the 2 games that are coming up, and that is the situation where we have to up the ante, and we'll see how strong we are. We travel to Leverkusen to win and nothing else. With Manuel Neuer, you were emphasizing this special situation that he has, where he tells you whether he will be able to play or not. How is it with Joshua Kimmich and Dayot Upamecano? Are they also players for you that will give you a sign and then you make the decision? Yes, the signal is clear. With Josh, you don't have to wait for a signal. He will come to practice only with one arm and say he's ready. So Josh, you can wake him up at 3 o'clock when he's really sick, and he will tell you he's ready. So he's an extraordinary player with an extraordinary approach. Upamecano is similar. He's really longing for game time. He played against Dortmund after coming back from injury, and he really developed very well as far as his mentality is concerned. So he can absolutely tell how his situation is, and he is through all parts of the rehab and in practice as well with the team. So when there are no extraordinary things happening, I will definitely plan with him, but I'm not going to tell you who's going to be in the starting 11. You said Leverkusen are playing an extraordinary season, and everybody is linking that to their coach, Xabi Alonso. It's his team. How do you see him as a colleague, as you have a different view on that? Well, absolute. I don't think it's only the coach, but it's a very important part. And as far as planning the squad is concerned, Leverkusen really were doing a good job and had a really good hand in it, and you can see the approach of Xabi, and not only this season, but since he came to Leverkusen, really outstanding achievement. And I really have the highest respect, particularly as a coaching colleague. When he was a footballer, he played the way, so you didn't have to imagine too much to see him as a top coach one day. And he's working now as a coach just like he did as a player, and he gets the product out of it that we see now, and that's how I see it. So I really have to praise him without any caveats, but we're not going to change our approach. We really have room for improvement in the way we play, and there are many reasons why we haven't played as clear and as spectacular like we wished for. Many things that we've been talking about a lot is something we are used to, that players like Conny, Serge, King are out injured. Upa has been missed, Mata as well, but we still managed to stay tight to Leverkusen, who are playing in the great form. So, like I said, it's a special week. We have to show a special spirit and special performance, but we are ready. We travel to Leverkusen to turn things around and to put our cards on the table. You were talking about Dortmund. Do you feel that another statement win, like in November against Dortmund, will be needed to calm things down for the next couple of weeks? And another question. Back in November, you were standing with Lothar Matthäus on the table. Have you thought about what you're going to do after the game? You weren't too lucky how things went. Well, this has been explained enough. It is how it is. I feel there's enough reason to be happy that there are two teams who are playing on an extremely high level in a different way, but on a very high level. And I think that we are part of that in the Bundesliga history. After how many games have we played? 2021. But also in our history, it's one of the best first round of fixtures in the past 8-9 years. So I do not understand why we're not happy about it and why we're not appreciating it. I just feel that one is seen a bit better than it should be, and the other and all the others are the ones that you can beat up on, and I don't know whether that is the right thing to do, but it doesn't really matter. We are focused on ourselves. It's a completely different game than against Dortmund. I do not dare to think about a 4-0 or a statement victory or something. We want to have a statement performance, and the result will take care of itself. We travel to Leverkusen to win, and if you want to win, we need to put in a top performance, a better game than we had of late. We need to get to our maximum. It is the week where we have to or want to prove ourselves. It is a week where we're playing against many neutral fans who want to have a change after so many titles in a row for Bayern Munich. But we are playing for us on our level, and the things we want to do is put a little extra on it and be ready for the game. And then we have the individual quality to beat Leverkusen, but as a team, we're gonna give everything we can, and we will give every percentage point that we have, and give more than we have been in the past to beat Leverkusen. Talking about Leverkusen, What kind of game do you expect from Leverkusen, and what are their strengths tactically and playing-wise? Well, they're playing a deep 3-2 build-up with very close to each other, small gaps, and then they have a very free position of Wirtz in between the lines. If you try to press them high up the pitch, it's very difficult because they have really close gaps in between them and play only a few contacts. Then they're trying to overload certain sides to use the speed of Frimpong on the other side, or the overload another side to get Wirtz in between and use his dribblings and his speed against the back four. So if we want to press high, we have to do it all together, very tight. They are one of the best teams against deep-lying defenses, where they stay patient, find their rhythm, find space. So it's a pretty classical 3-2-4-1. So they have 5 offensive players with a couple of key players. Grimaldi with his great foot, the individual quality of Wirtz, Frimpong on the wing with lots of speed, and the player in the middle, Xhaka, who is orchestrating things. So even though you know that smoking is unhealthy, it's still difficult to quit smoking. So we know everything, but it really counts on Saturday at 6:30 p.m. That's when we have to do things and not only think about what we all aware of and what we know, but it's pretty clear, and we are analyzed, and we know what we do, and we know where to hurt them, and so we need to have the bite that is important. And I think that Leverkusen also want to put an exclamation mark on it. I'd be surprised if they try to do everything else, and it's about us wanting it more. The final question. You were talking about the neutral fans that you're playing against as well. What does it do to your team and yourself as well? Oli Kahn always loved those situations. Yes, he loved it. How are you doing with it? Because everybody wants to be loved, but tomorrow it's going to be difficult for you. Well, yes, this constellations always exist. It happens in tennis when you play against Roger Federer. You're always playing against his aura and the neutral fans, and because of his elegance and his apparent easiness and all this, which makes it even more challenging for Rafa Nadal and Djokovic to make it possible. And same with us. We have extreme good fan base and extreme good support, and particularly on the road we have loud fans, and which is really good and which we need, and that's what you live for. But we know that a neutral football fan will loves this attention, and you can appreciate having two teams fighting for the top spot on a constant level. And Stuttgart are still not too far away. They're also playing on an extremely high level, which is a really good thing. And a cup game like this was really an advertisement for footballing, very attractive. Two teams playing on extremely high level, tactically, physically, and it's really fun watching it, and it's good for the league. But that we, as a favorite, having won the title for so many years, have always more to lose than our opponent, is just natural. But I think it makes us winners. We have winners in our team who are used to situations like that, and who are using the focus to drag energy out of it. And so it's about the way we go about things in Leverkusen. We cannot change the situation we're in, but we are ready. So thank you very much. We're looking forward to tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Ciao, bis morgen.